How are you?
Good, good. Uh, Happy to be up 1-0 there.
Yeah, it's strange, right? Because you just said last game that you were happy to be down 1-0 after the first period. You'd call that it up. So what the heck do you call it when we're actually up 1-0 after the first period?
All according to plan.
Yeah, so let's hop into it then. Let's
Yep.
talk about the ups and downs. What did you like about the Canucks game so far?
So far, it's a pretty tidy game for the end of a long road trip.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what you expected Minnesota to have the majority of the shots in that period, but overall, we did a good job of keeping them to low danger chances. Really, only one or two of those 13 shots they had on net were really worrisome.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much only one odd man rush the whole period. So overall, the forwards are doing a really good job of back checking and supporting the defense. I'd like to see more shots, obviously, on the Minnesota net, but we did a good job of capitalizing on our power play, which
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota does not give a lot up of. They do a good job of staying out of the box because the one flaw in their game is their penalty kill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw that. I talked about that when we were going through the stats to start the game. It was surprising that Minnesota's power play is one of like I think their penalty kills ranked like 27th in the whole league, and they don't have a really good power play either, considering how much power they have over there. So that's kind of what I said. I hope maybe the percentages for Minnesota makes the Canucks percentages look good. And so far, yeah, the Canucks are 1 for 1 on the power play, and it looked deadly too. There was a lot of good chances even before they scored.
Yeah, and good on Hoglander too for drawing that penalty. He had a good first couple shifts there and a good period, and let's hope he can keep that up for the rest of the game.
Yeah, we'll give Hoglander an up for drawing a penalty, but I'm going to give Hoglander a down for his drop pass right at center ice when they're about to get a line change. And that nothing came of it, but that's the exact kind of play that they don't want him doing because obviously, when you're trying to get a change, just get the puck down low and then get your booty off the ice, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he had another turnover there late in our end that wasn't really super dangerous, but could have ended up in our net. So, um, yeah, while there's some positives, Hoglander's still definitely making those mistakes that could end him up riding the pine for the rest of the game. So he's got to clean that up.
Yeah. We'll give an up to the face-offs because Canucks actually were really good in the face-off so far through the first period. They won 66.7% of those face-offs. So absolutely, I mean, you can pretty much call that domination at an NHL level and when you're winning that high of a percentage. Um, are you surprised by that? Because the Canucks have been struggling a little bit, or is this just maybe facing a team that doesn't have as much strength up the center?
I think it's a little of both. I think the Canucks have shown they've worked on their face-off game and have worked to improve it. Obviously, you're going to match up against other teams differently throughout the year, but the way Ratu's been working on his face-off ability and Bluger as well, I'm not entirely surprised. Um, that being said, it is just one period. What there was a very quick period. There wasn't a ton of face-offs, so small sample size. We'll revisit it again at post game and see if we're still dominating as well as we are.
Yeah, one of the first times I've seen it too through the first period. The Canucks have 4 hits. Minnesota has 5. So one of the only times I've seen Canucks actually trail a game with hits. But expect to see that pick up as the night goes on. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. We got to keep being physical on Minnesota because you can see how quickly they can strike. They can get the puck up the ice real quick, and they like to shoot off the breakout and go for rebounds. They don't like to necessarily jump in, set up, and slow it down unless that's something that has come off of offensive zone faceoff. So we got to be aware how quickly they can get back behind our forwards and make it an odd man rush on our D men.
Yeah, and then Minnesota too with 8 giveaways in that game. So I feel like that probably is in part because of that good back check from the Canucks.
Yeah, the forwards are doing a great job of back checking, and that will in turn lead to the giveaways and takeaways. So we got to keep that up and keep putting the pressure on Minnesota, and the mistakes will come, and we will have to capitalize on them like we did on that power play.
Yeah, we're thinking about starting a new segment here on the stream called Canucks Logic, where we go through all the strange things that seem to happen to this team with former players scoring on us and playing really well against the best team in the league and losing to Nashville as they're the worst team in the league. Like it seems to be chaos. There's no rhyme or reason, so we'll call it Canucks Logic.
Absolutely. If you can think any movie storyline or script, or it couldn't be written any better or worse for the Canucks, is pretty much how it goes.
Yeah. So let's hop on to the next one because obviously Mr. Lankinen literally just set an NHL record, which you don't see very often. What was the record and who did he beat out?
He set the record for the most road wins to start a season, and I believe he just beat out Hellebuck was the one who held it. I think he just set it last year, did he not?
So I've just pulled up the stats here. So you got Martin Brodeur in 2009, 2010 had 8 wins on the road to start the season. Glenn Hall had 9 in 65, 66. And Cam Talbot, of all people, had the 9 as well. So, and then Brent Johnson is another guy who I don't really remember. It kind of rings a bell, but back in 2000,
St. Louis Blue, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I've got the picture. You can't see it, but the viewers can see it. So yeah, Kevin Lankinen now taking out Cam Talbot, Glenn Hall. I mean, Cam Talbot, whatever. He's had his moments, but Glenn Hall and Martin Brodeur are 2 big names on that list. So Kevin Lankinen now with the most road wins to start an NHL season ever, which is wild.
He continues to be the steal of free agency. I have no idea how this guy made it all the way to September without an NHL contract. You look around the league, and there's a lot of teams that would kill to have his services right now. There's not many teams that could have gone into camp with no starter and have the start that we've had to our season. The fact we're above 500 is just incredible, and for him to have gone in and set this record, I mean, he's well on his way in this game to improving that record again.
Putting some distance between him and the competition. What do you think it is about his game that has been so successful under the Canucks system?
I think it's just a stable game. He doesn't really give up any major aggressive rebounds. His puck control is really solid off of shots.
Mm-hmm.
His communication with the defenseman is good. His puck handling outside of the crease is strong. He also takes away the top of the net really well, so he doesn't get beat up high. It's really hard to find a weakness in his game. He's a very strong goaltender, and I think he was just maybe a little bit of a late bloomer and stuck behind other goalies that were higher up the depth chart for the beginning of his career. He's definitely given us a great cushion to work with in points until Demko comes back, and even going forward, he allows you that luxury of easing the workload on Demko when he returns.
I know there's a guy who joins Sportsnet 650 quite often, Kevin Woodley, and I briefly saw an article where essentially they picked him as one of the breakout goaltender stars for the league. So if you're asking the goaltending experts, they're not surprised by this. So clearly they were seeing something going on even before the Canucks signed him.
Yeah, if you look into a lot of the analytics, then there's some guys that have been breaking it down recently because of his record that he just set, and he's starting to turn them heads. His analytics have always pointed to him having the ability to be a starting goalie and having the skill and talent. He just was one of those people that kind of slipped through the cracks for a lot of years, and now he's 4th in wins with 12. His save percentage is above 90, so he's sitting at a 907 save percentage right now. Goals against average of 2.65. I mean, his numbers are matching those like Shesterkin and Hellebuck and some major star goalies across the league. So he's inserting himself into that conversation of maybe being a breakout star.
So let's go from some good news for the Canucks to some bad news for the Canucks, which just came out this afternoon. I think the Canucks announced that Philip Hronek has undergone successful surgery on his shoulder. And what did they say? He's going to be out till end of January, early February, probably.
Yeah, so interesting thing about this is he's going to be out 8 weeks with the shoulder injury, but the shoulder didn't require the surgery. Because he is going to be out for 8 weeks anyways, they decided to do a minor surgery on an unrelated lower body injury,
Hmm.
which was successful and will also heal in that time frame. So it was kind of a kill two birds with one stone type situation. Or as someone I heard say today, they said, "Oh, he went in for a separated shoulder and he figured he might as well get a circumcision."
Yeah. Oh, it kind of reminds me of the time I had an issue with the oxygen sensor in my car, and I took it in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well we're gonna have to take the timing belt off anyway, so we might as well do that right now too, right? We'll do it for cheap." So maybe you got
Yeah,
a deal, right?
yeah, exactly. 2 for 1.
So yeah, I mean,
I
then
mean, it's
there's our answer, right? We were wondering like how much time is he going to be out for? Now we got a kind of a clear timeline on it. So now we're looking at
mhm,
the Canucks hopefully picking up maybe another right side D, but again, we talk about players that have stepped up in the absence of other players this year with all the adversity the Canucks have been going through. Like Juleson's been looking really good. Tyler
mhm.
Myers has been asserting himself pretty well playing on that line with Myers. And then even Carson Soucy, right, has kind of turned things around, simplified his game. So the Canucks are already saying we're not going to be pushed around. We're not going to panic. But if the trade presents itself, you think they're probably still looking to upgrade that right side?
Oh, you always are looking to upgrade your right side. It's a hot commodity in the NHL. Um, it's a good and bad news situation. Obviously, the bad news is that he's out for 8 weeks, but the good news is they don't have to go after a big fish defenseman. The team can survive the 8 weeks with patchwork right now. What they do need is stability on the blue line and future stability. So I think now the plans will have returned to building for the future and going after a younger guy like a Keandre Miller or a Marcus Pedersen, that type of player, that they can sign long term and build a core top four around.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas had Hronek been out until the playoffs and longer than that, we might have been looking at going after somebody like a Jacob Truba or a big fish that brings a lot of stability or a veteran presence to that blue line. Um, Not necessarily the answer, but something that might have forced Alvin's hand. At least now he has a little time to wait with Hronek returning probably around Valentine's Day.
Oh, that'd be a nice Valentine's Day present for us.
Definitely.
So I wanted to chat with you a little bit about the Four Nations Cup coming up in February, replacing the All-Star game this year.
Hmm.
They're announcing we can stop speculating. They're announcing the rosters tomorrow, but we're going to speculate for just a little bit more. Do you have
Yep.
any hot takes, dark horses, anything you can see on the four rosters you could see happening tomorrow when they announce the Four Nations Cup rosters for the four teams? Anything you might think might take people by surprise?
I would not be surprised if Kevin Lankinen is named the starting goalie for Team Finland. Given the way he has started this season, he has played his way onto that team for sure.
So then the other question I had about the Four Nations Cup, because obviously we're going to be off for what is it? They're shutting things down for a week or something like that. Should I be
Yeah,
covering
we can have.
Canada, or should we be streaming one of these other teams? Like, should we be streaming Team America if we got Quinn Hughes and Garland and Besser and Miller possibly playing for that team? Should we be looking for Canucks content rather than our national pride?
Well, I think during that, because it's such a NHL driven thing, we definitely should maybe be cheering for our boys, right? Like if Demko were playing as well, our American content would be much greater than that of any Canadian content. I don't think we have a chance of any Canadian players in this Four Nations Cup. Realistically, we have the best shot of some guys making Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we got Petey likely making Team Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, there, I'm pretty sure that Kevin Lankinen will be playing in goal for Finland. Um, Really, other than that, it's just Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in Buffalo.
Well, they got UC Saros too, but I mean, with the way that the Nashville Predators have been playing, I wouldn't be surprised if they do give Lankinen a look. Because if you think about it too, technically every single game is going to be a road game for them. So
Yep, there you go.
So before we get back to the action, we got a couple minutes here. Let's talk about the baby Canucks down the road in Abbotsford. They got a couple
Mhm.
games coming up this weekend against the Colorado Eagles. They've already
Yes.
played them a couple times so far this year, haven't they?
Yes, I believe so. They have played them early in October. They played them a couple times, and that was one of those when we were on our win one lose one kind of streak.
Right.
So we split a series with them in October,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in Colorado. So we'll be looking to improve on that when they come to town this weekend. They play Saturday the 7th at 7 p.m. and then we play them again Sunday the 8th at 4 p.m. I've been looking for updates on Patera. I haven't seen if he's skated or not recently, but
Mm-hmm.
he has been out since November 7th when he left a game early in the first period with a lower body injury. So keeping our eyes on that situation, obviously with Demko being close and Patera being close, we'll have a bit of a goalie log jam once She Loves needs a home as well. So other than that, there's nothing major to report. A pretty successful road trip. 6 games, went 4-2, and we look to continue our winning ways when we return to action on Saturday.
And someone in chat was saying, was it John Stevens has played his 200th game for the baby Canucks or something like that coming up here, or he
Yeah,
has?
John's. Yep. He played his 200th game was the last game that he played down in where was it there? um,
That
just
was
when they played last weekend in San
San
Jose.
Jose.
Yep. John Stevens did play his 200th game, and he is still tied for the lead on the team with 13 points, 3 goals, and 10 assists. So he is having a nice, tidy year, playing down the lineup with in playing in more of a fourth line role. So really, really performing well for the baby Canucks.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Dustin. You're going to be around for the post game show.
We will be here.
Awesome, brother. We'll talk to you then.
Sounds good.
Nothing is perfect.